All right, here we go. All right, gang. So main point of this meeting is to model something for you, which has been working really, really, really well. Okay. All of the loan officers are realizing that just being good at closing loans is not enough anymore. It was 15 years of it was good enough to be really good at closing loans. And now all of a sudden, everyone's good at closing loans, or at least they say they're good at closing loans. And we're all out looking for more value to give to the realtors. The other thing is, how do we reach a lot of realtors? How do we give them a lot of value, but not have it be so taxing on our time and our wallet? So, a couple loan officers have gone after events. They went really heavy on events, and events are valuable. The realtors love us for it, but it takes so much time out of your day, and it can be really, really expensive sponsoring events for all of your realtors, especially if you're doing it for the ones you're dating instead of the ones you're married to. That can be really taxing. So we've stumbled across this LO or a realtor mastermind, I should say. And a couple loan officers put them on and started getting really, really positive feedback from them. And the other cool thing is it's not that expensive. It doesn't take that much time. And the realtors are getting a lot of value from it. The other cool thing is the realtors are really the value in this case. You're just bringing them together and allowing them to give value to one another. So I'm going to call on two of the people on our team in particular that are using this to kind of hear how their experiences have been, because they're doing it in very different ways. But let me share my screen a little bit just to look extremely professional. I made a PowerPoint presentation for y'all. So let me fire this thing up. I can never find present. Where's present? I see it. It's close.
Under slideshow.
Thank you.
Play from beginning.
Okay. All right. How to host a realtor mastermind. So little value, low cost. So first of all, it can be done virtually or in person. And the two loan officers I'm going to call on each do it both ways. So the advantage to being virtual is you can record it. And Coach Kenny can help you with all sorts of cool stuff for getting more bang out of it with the recording. The advantage to doing it in person is you can you can lube them up with some wine and cheese a little bit, and sometimes you're going to get even more participation if people are drinking a beer or a glass of wine or something like that. So second thing is a very, very simple format, which we're going to actually model for you. So we're modeling this format right now. It's kind of a double whammy. The first half or the first 10 minutes or the first 20 minutes, we want you to actually present something to them. So teach something to them. I know that we've been covering things like the buy downs, affordability options, new programs, MMCAP, our new $8,000 grant program is pretty money for this. Relo, anything that takes advantage of equity, because we know there's equity out there. So going over that blockchain HELOC is a good one. Going over Reno. You can find presentations from Barry Habib. You can go on the Movement Marketing site and pull presentations off of that. But do a presentation for them, teach them something. The other thing is, if you want to grab someone from condo and have them hop on and do a condo presentation, do that. If you want someone from marketing, if you want Coach Kenny to get on and do a presentation on social media, have him be your guest speaker. Jason Steyer, VA. You want to talk about VA lending and how to get more VA leads for them, bring on a guest speaker. And then you go to, let me just stop my screen share for a sec. So then you go to the second half of the conversation, and the second half of the conversation is where it starts kind of running itself for you. All you do is bring a topic. Okay. You bring a topic for discussion and you start the conversation, and you will find that these agent partners of yours are going to just start talking. And they're going to start giving each other ideas. They're going to start giving each other little either accountability, kick in the ass, or even, like a shoulder to cry on. Okay. So it gets really powerful here. And this is a good time where I'm going to go ahead and call on a couple of our people that are doing this. And let them tell you their experiences with it so far. So let's start with Charles. Charles, can you take yourself off mute for a second?
Yeah.
So Charles, you've been going with more the in-person version of this, I believe, right?
Yeah, there's a winery in Roswell. They have wine vending machines. So I'll just come with $15 on a card, hand them out. And for me, it's been fun because you kind of pick and choose who you want there to get the energy and the vibe. But now it's just every time I call on a whale, they want to show up. Because I have enough people, I can just start rattling off names and people are interested. And yeah, it's a lot of fun because they'll show up. They feel like they're just going to get a spiel from me. I, answer the questions they have, but then they just jump in the community and then all of a sudden I'm on their team. So it's been, really fun to see and an easy ask.
Yeah, I don't know that this would have worked last year, right? They were too busy, and they were just closing deals. But right now, everywhere I look and everyone I talk to, I see that people are desperate for leadership, coaching, mentoring, help. Like they want to, some of the whales want to get on and teach, right? Some people are desperate for that, but a lot of times the realtors just want to know that they're not the only one going through this right now. And it feels so good to hear other people say that they're going through it and then share a few ideas, even better, right? How many on average would you like, what's your sweet spot for number of realtors to attend one of these?
So I have 2 going on right now, one more established and one with younger agents coming up. The more established, it varies from 4 to 12. I will say when it gets to 12, they either start going into their own groups to talk. So you can get just a lot of side chatter, or it's just hard for everybody to talk. So I like that 6 to 10 range.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect number too, where you end up with room for everyone to talk. We're going to do this right now with this group. We're going to have a mastermind. So we'll see if this is too many people and everybody's talking at the same time. Maybe we can go with hold your hand up before you talk or something like that. And then give us an idea of a topic for discussion that you've had recently that was a good one. Yeah.
So, they love the HELOC. They love the possibility of using it as a bridge loan, using it as a way to fix up the home before they list it. And then, my big topic for the end of the year is going to be, what's your big idea for what's like a business planning session? Like, what are events or what are some kind of lead gen thing that you did this year, or what do you want to implement next year? So, there's always something. The market's changing so fast, always something to talk about.
Yep. Thank you, Charles. Let's switch over to Brandon. So Brandon is pursuing this as well, but he's going more on the digital format. And he's had, I think you're supposed to have one tomorrow, but you had a funeral. So I think you might be pushing that out, but talk to us about the one you had last week or 2 weeks ago. How did it go? How many people? What'd you talk about?
So I typically have 4 to 6 realtors that join me, and I just kind of give them a tidbit of something that I want to give that week. Like that one was more around the 2-1 buy down, the other buy down products, the permanent buy down, to kind of show them where we were comparing the two and how that would benefit them. Now, I've got one coming up in a couple of weeks that is going to be selling using the disc profile to be able to learn how to connect to more people. So that's the next one. But I'm seeing 4 to 6 people is what I'm getting, and it's making it very easy to carry on conversations and be able to have people in a room where they can, like in a virtual room, where we're not talking over each other.
Perfect. Let me see. Are you going to deliver that disc training, or are you going to have one of our coaches do it?
I'm having my coach do it. He's
Okay.
actually the one that's familiar with it. He's actually going to teach the course. We're just going to co-host that.
Perfect. That's awesome. I'm going to open this up for questions before we switch over to the mastermind, but I threw down a couple ways to really get more bang for your buck on this. So, and this is, guys, this is like next level stuff here. But let me start the slideshow again. So ways to maximize. So if you do it in digital, okay, and you record it, there are a lot of things that you can do with those recordings. Okay. You can you can have value for your realtors for the next 2 or 3 weeks with those recordings. So let me just stop the share for a second. So number one, you can load the recording onto your YouTube channel, and you can start building out a bit of a YouTube channel of masterminds that realtors could go on and just listen to old masterminds and get lots of ideas from. Number two, you could pull out minute-long pieces where they're the gold in the hills of the mastermind, and you can put it on your social media, and you can send it to your agent and give them value for their social media. That's like all queued up and ready to share on those social media. And every single realtor I talk to wants help with social media. Okay, every one of them. So if you can actually give them something where they're talking and they sound really smart and they can post it, this is so good. This is powerful. Number three, let's say you invite 20 people, okay? And let's say 4 people show up. You go back through the recording, you take cliff notes, okay? And you either call them and you go over the cliff notes with them, the 16 people that didn't show up, or you make it, draw it up in notes and just send them the cliff notes, one of the two. And then the other thing is, we're all looking for content, right? I'm looking around at a lot of people that are on there, they're on social media, they're doing content, and they want to come up with the things that are on the top of mind for realtors, right? That are the most beneficial today for realtors. And you just had a meeting with realtors where they're talking about the stuff that's at the top of their mind. So if you really pay attention, you will have content for the next 2 or 3 weeks that is relevant and helpful to realtors. Okay, so we're talking quadruple whammy out of something like just a mastermind. So please, please, please don't leave it at just a mastermind, right? Don't just do a 4-person mastermind and help 4 people. Turn it into helping 20 people and then maybe 1,000 people on your social media. Like, get the most bang for your buck on these things. Okay. So let's open it up for questions about, and really, these questions could be for Brandon or for Charles on how theirs went, or any others. And then we're going to switch over to doing our mastermind. So does anyone have any questions about how to actually put on a mastermind? Can we
How are you guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
How are you guys deciding who to invite? Are you just like, hey, these are my agents I'm working with already. Let's start there. Or is it just, hey, these are folks I want to work with. Let's start there.
Agents you currently work for or work with right now is current easiest ones to get on board. And then I would always say, bring a friend or invite someone that you think might benefit as well. And then just kind of expand it, but you have to limit it to so many seats so you don't overwhelm yourself and overwhelm the group and create too big of a crowd.
Yeah. I did about half and half. And it really does help if you have a name that people respect in there. It just makes it an easy sell for whoever you want to bring in. So it does help if there's somebody that that you're friends with that has a little bit of clout.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of kind of breaking it up into a high-end mastermind and a lower-end mastermind for the realtors that are just getting started, that are hungry. They're going to be talking about different things than the realtors that are, that have been through 3 cycles and are kind of rolling their eyes that we're going through another cycle. So you could keep it, you could keep it specialized. I think that would be smart.
Here's a question. How far out did you plan in advance? Was it more like 2 weeks or 4 weeks?
It's a good question.
Yeah. It was about 2 or 3 weeks out, and I make mine recurring last Thursday of every month. So yeah, it's just at the beginning of the month, I start to reach out who I want to call, follow up. And that's the other thing, you can call, text. It's a way for me to reach out to these agents at least 2 or 3 times each month, even if I don't sit down with them at the mastermind.
I find on any event with real estate agents, I don't invite them more than 2 weeks out. They don't even plan their schedule out that far usually. So, and then the other thing is the cancellation. Well, I'll ask y'all actually. Traditional cancellation rate for realtors is about 50%. What are y'all experiencing on these events?
Yeah. They're busy. Yeah.
It's about the same. Cool. All right, so let's cue it up. Let's cue up this conversation, and this was Coach Kim's idea, actually. So what he was saying was, well, actually, Kim, I'll let you cue this up. But what you were saying was, we got to go back to basics, right? We got to go back to the fundamentals of our business. And then I asked him the question, well, what are the fundamentals of our business? Because it's not what it was when I got into the business 20 years ago. Like, when I got into the business 20 years ago, it was smile and dial, always be closing. It was pop-ins and pop buys and all this sort of stuff. And now it's like, it's a different world. So Kim, what do you, where were you heading with that when you were thinking about getting back to basics?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank everybody for attending this call, especially if you are a guest. We love having people come in and include you in what we're doing here at Movement, and just to make sure we're adding value to your business as well. So hopefully you're getting a couple of nuggets that you can take along with you and incorporate in your business. That's the number one goal for that. So secondly, back to the basics for me is this, and you've heard this before, you treat people the way you want to be treated. So if you are a jerk and you love jerks, then just go about your life like that, because you're never going to reach your full potential. I promise you. But if you are, if you're thinking about other people and how you can help them and add value to their business, then you're going to approach your business that way. And what I mean by that is that if you want to be different and separate yourself from all the other loan officers out here, you're going to have to do your business in a different way. And that means that when you call on a realtor, even, by the way, even the ones that you are doing business with right now, we have a tendency in our business to take some people for granted. We're like, oh, that's Mary, she's gonna always give me something. Well, if you looked at Mary's numbers and you looked at how many loan officers she's working with, you might be surprised. You literally might be surprised at how many loan officers she's actually working with, and each one of them are thinking, oh, that's Mary, she's just gonna. And so the next question is, what if Mary fell off the face of the earth and she wasn't part of your business anymore? How would your business look? So that's why we have to go back to what I call the grind. We have to go back and remember when we first got our jobs, we first got into business. Jeff, when you first got into business, what were you thinking about when it came to this awesome responsibility in front of you to help people get into homes, but also the complexity of being a loan officer and being able to communicate that information in an effective way to a realtor, a builder, or investor? And then where have we gone since then? So I know you got just unmuted yourself, Jeff, so hop in there, man.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. The one thing that you just said a second ago with, talking to Mary, and you think you're the only one, that I've run into with the agents that I've been speaking with on a daily basis, is that a lot of them don't have the talking points right now, so a lot of them haven't been in this business for 20 years or didn't go through 2008. And I ask them, so what are you running into? Well, I'm running into clients saying whatever. And I'm like, so what do you say? And they literally, I don't know what to say to them. So, a little bit different today is delivering content to them and facts and figures and numbers and coaching them through. I think Josh said it earlier. Well, the whole thing is like, what a Realtor Mastermind is, coaching them through that conversation so they get comfortable with, where they don't stutter step it. They go right into so tell me what you're thinking, buyer, and let me share with you how I would handle this, right? So that's what we're running into, right? And then back to what you said, Kim, I think you just go right back to make your call list, be diligent about making your calls every day and talking to your agents.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add, thank Jeff, by the way. This is the other thing. Do you know who you're even talking to these days? Because a lot of times what happens is we go right to business. Even with the referrals we get a referral from a real estate agent. We talk to them briefly and say, okay, I need your legal name, I need your social security number, and you start asking for data. Instead of truly understanding what this person's life has been like and their goals and their plans and why are they even talking to you in the first place. And so if we can go a little bit deeper with people, we have a tendency to make our relationships sticky. That's for borrowers, and then that's for the people that we're pursuing as well. If we're pursuing real estate agents, And we don't know that they have 3 kids and one of them has a challenge with mobility, and that they just lost their husband 10 months earlier. If we don't know any of that stuff and we're going right for business, we're missing the mark, because we're going to be just like everybody else. We need to go deep with people and take the time to do it. So this is a question you should ask yourself. And that is, what is the likelihood of me meeting a new real estate agent, and before that meeting's over, they give me a referral to a buyer? I mean, that is just, it's not going to happen, right? So if we know that's not going to happen ahead of time, then why are we going for the juggler for business in that meeting? What we should be doing is using that time to enhance our relationship with the person, be different than everybody else. And then we get enough of those people in the pipeline, it'll start rolling like this. You meet the old people, they're going to start giving you business. You're going to meet new people there, they're going to start giving business later. It's going to keep going just like that. So desperation causes us to do things we wouldn't normally do. So the key to victory is to be consistent, go back to the basics, and understand our value to people. Understand your value to a realtor. You're the expert. They're not the expert at what you do with financing. I don't care how many transactions they've done. They don't know what you know because you do this day in and day out. There's so many variations that it's impossible for a real estate agent to know. It just is. So it's our goal to add value to them and go deep with them. And I probably ramble a little bit too much, Josh, but go ahead.
No, this is a really good segue. It's a good topic here. I like to kind of go with this new versus old mentality, the old way to do things and the new way to do things. And I taught for years and years and years, always be closing, always be prospecting. And I don't think it's always be closing anymore. I think every realtor I talk to says they're sick of being closed. They're sick of being sold to and told. So I think it's probably always be building relationships now. I think that might be the new day, is always build. So that, like, if we talk about back to basics, I think that's a basic, always build relationships. But gosh, even 2 years ago, building relationships, you could almost pick any realtor in town and do some business with them, right? But right now, what were the stats? 1.6 million realtors and 1.3 don't have any business, which means 3 do. Holy smoke. So it might be always build relationships with qualified realtors, right? They either need to be doing some business now or have some potential that they're going to do some business in the very near future. But I don't want to go build relationships with people that are about to retire. And I definitely don't want to build relationships with people that aren't going to be in this business next year. And I don't want to build relationships with people that aren't going to make it, that aren't going to take this job seriously. So what do you think? Always building relationships with qualified realtors? Is that where you're thinking? Is that a basic for us? Let's hear from someone else. Where are you going with this? Where's your head with all this?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I think it can be fake. You can't say, I'm going to make myself care or act like I'm going to care. You have to actually care and make up your mind. You meet that agent or you do a mastermind, you say, initial meeting, you can make up your mind that I'm just going to bring value and I'm going to reserve this meeting to get to know this person, and not just what am I going to say for them to think that I care about them, or that what do I say for them to think that I'm trying to, get to know them a little bit. The other thought that I had when we first started, we were talking about who do you target? Who's out there? How do you target them? How do you invite them? We're trying to bring value, but there are other people who are trying to bring value. They're the people who may have a title, may not have a title. They might be a broker, they might be an assistant broker, they might be a coach at a real estate office. They might be that person who people just gravitate to because they have experience, and people go to them and ask for advice, ask for information. And if we go to those people and say, hey, I know you like to bring value to your team. Let's do this so I can help you bring value to your team. I'm not just bringing value to you. I'm giving you value that you can give to other people. So you're fulfilling their need of having contact, having information, having things that they can give away. So, and that's the nice thing is, if you do that, you don't have to fill a room. Just say, I'm going to do this for you. Can you fill the room for me? Who in your office needs to hear this? Who in your office is looking for help and support and information, and let's bring them into a room and have a chat with them.
I love that. And the thing you said, I think 3 or 4 times that kept blinking in my brain was bring value, like over and over again, bring value. The person that's going to win 5 years from now, the person that's going to have the most influence and have the most success is going to be the person that brought the most value and the best value to the most number of people. It's going to be that simple. It's a very, very simple equation. You take all the people you bring value to now, all your customers, all your realtors, and then all the people on social media that you're bringing value to. And then we rank how good that value is, right? And whoever did the most will do the most in 5 years. I promise you, you'll be the furthest along in your career. Most value, most number of people. No, can we call that a new basic? That's a new basic. Yeah. All right. How about on just the customer service side? I think a lot of our back to basics stuff went out the window on customer service the last couple of years, because they kind of needed us more than we needed them, and now we're back to needed them more than they need us. So what's back to basics for customer service? Where do y'all go with that one?
Hey, Josh, I saw that Charles had posted a video about mortgage insurance, right? So our databases are always overlooked in good times. And I think back to basics means going through your database and making those calls to the customers that could remove mortgage insurance, right? Or, just reaching out to that customer base that you have and going through that and making the touch points, because so often we undervalue how important that database is. And, there's some loan officers that are so good about it, but I'd say if we're following the 80-20 rule, 20% of us touch our databases and about 80% of us don't.
I love that one. Mind your database, back to basics. That one was around 20 years ago when I first got into the business. That was one of the basics they taught us, mind your database.
And it could be so many ways. I mean, you could do a, hey, it's tax time. Let's review your escrow account. Let's do your annual mortgage review. And people look for that. People would appreciate that.
How about answering the phone on nights and weekends? That one kind of went out the window a little bit, right? Not everyone does that. And you better do it now. I promise you better do it now. You're going to be in trouble if you don't do it now, because your competition will do it. Your competition is doing it. Yeah.
One thing I'm doing, and clients seem to really love it right now, is I'm setting an appointment 6 days from closing. 6 days, could be 6 months from closing, and just telling them every 6 months I'm going to look at their rate and I'm going to call and say, hey, stay where you are or it's time to move. And with rates where they are, they think they're going to fall to 2% tomorrow. So, which we know is not going to happen, but at least that gives me a touch. Aside from an anniversary card or a birthday card, it's another touch for me to pick up the phone and call them or send them a text video, either way.
I love it. That's a good one. What about pricing right now? What about back to basics on pricing? The last 2 years, did you have to fight tooth and nail for every single deal, or if if you lost one, you lost one, right? What's the difference now? Where are we on that?
And I personally, we're kind of beholden to whatever it is, to be quite honest with you. I mean, obviously it hurts more now to lose a deal when you have, X instead of, your bucket flowing over. But I aside from the, walking your client through it, I love what I think it was Kim that said it, sticky. If you're giving them that upfront customer service and you're just on it, right? And they trust you. It keeps you hopefully away from that, where you've got to now compete on every deal on pricing and rate. I mean, I think we all have run into a situation where, hey, wait a second, the guy, the person's getting 4.5%, 100% financing, no MI. You're like, what am I gonna do with that? Every other day somebody's dropping their pants, right?
Yeah.
And is that the day your client's gonna run against that lender that has that, hey, my pants are all the way down today on this particular deal, and you're like, well, nothing I can do about it. So man, I just lean on that customer service piece as hard as you can.
That's back to basics though, right? That's a huge back to basics. Like, we got to do things the right way. Let's not sell rate. That's huge, right? Let's sell our service.
Yeah.
I also am seeing bigger concessions from this team than I ever have before, which means I know they are fighting when they can to win those deals. And we're approving concessions like nobody's business right now. We haven't had to do that, in 20 and 21. Right now, it's a constant state of fighting for deals and trying to win deals, no matter how you can do it. I know Kim was telling me about a deal that, they lost the other day because of price, and we just sent him a note saying, hey, send us that GFE, and he didn't send it. So then Kim reached out. He's like, hey, I'd really like to see that GFE. I just want to make sure, that you're not missing anything. I want to get some trained eyes on it that work in this business, because there might be hidden things. So they sent it over, and there was a point on there. The client had no idea. The client was just looking at rate. And I don't know, did we win that deal back, Kim, or did we almost win it back?
Yeah, it's not closed until the end of December, so there's still a possibility. And then just the communication style of the other lender was like, you got to lock it today, or so that high pressure, that thing is just, it's a turnoff to me, by the way. However, the other thing is this. So I'm gonna exaggerate for a minute. I'm just gonna really exaggerate for a minute. Let's say you're talking to a customer and they're rate shopping you, and they smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and they're talking about, I don't know, I don't want to spend another $50 a month on a house payment. I'm like, how about this? Try quitting smoking. How about that? You're probably paying $7 for a pack of cigarettes, and you're smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So that's 60 pack of cigarettes a month. You do the math on that one. So if you went deep with somebody, you would know that they have this issue with smoking cigarettes. And then you can build that into your dialogue with the person as well. And I'm being extreme, but if you go deep with people, 1/8 of a point or stuff like this, it's really not going to matter a whole lot unless they're absolutely, I want the lowest rate, period. And we're not going to win that. And we need to go into thinking that we're not going to win that. If they're just about rate, call up Quicken or whoever the hell it is, and don't worry about a relationship, and don't worry about having someone around and available afterwards, then that's going to happen. But the other thing I want to say about this, because I heard the dialogue, and if we can, Kundif, if we go back to our database, if we mine our database, if we go to our realtor partners, the people that already love us, I guarantee they will bend over backwards for you if you ask them for a favor or you ask their opinion about something. If you go to a realtor and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about this idea. I want to run it by you first to see what you think about hosting a mastermind. And think about this. Think about the power of that. And they're going to be like, oh, man, I got to help. I want to help Patty. Of course, I want to help Patty. Tell me what you're thinking, Patty. And then, blah, blah, blah. Hey, would you mind attending this one? Of course, I'll attend. So it's really about how you're going to communicate with people, and the people that already love you, you're not talking to them, you're missing the mark. You are missing the mark so much, because who the hell likes cold calling? Raise your hand. Nobody. I need to find that person, by the way, who likes cold calling. But seriously, just use the people that you're already, use your barber, your hairdresser, everybody. This is old school stuff, right? If they know what you do for a living and they know you care and you're not phony, you're not fake, all day long, you can ask them for favors. To say, I need a favor from you. We're having a challenging year, but my goal is to help 120 families this year get into homes. And I'm super close, super close. Can you do me a favor? I guarantee they'll bend over backwards for you.
100%. Good segue, by the way. This is one thing I wanted to talk about. Patty and I on our regional call, we throw around the word stances, which we just developed these like rules. They're not written down anywhere, but we've decided certain things. And in 20 and 21, we developed a whole bunch of stances. One of them is around cold calling. So I don't know that anyone made a cold call in 2020 and 21. You fast forward to 2022 and all of a sudden those stances go out the window. So Nate, take yourself off mute for a sec. So we went back to the basics with Nate, even though he's newer to the business. One of the basics we did was you have to have your business plan. You have to have a success tracker. You have to have your vision front and center. These are basics. You didn't need these in 20 and 21. Now you have to have these. You have to have something reminding you of what you're trying to build for yourself. Okay. Something off in the distance that you're shooting for. But Nate said, we built him out a success tracker, like a weekly success tracker. And we said he needs to have 3 coffees with realtors. Okay. And we said, we went through month and a half where you hadn't hit 3 coffees, right? He was close. It would be 1 coffee, 2 coffee, 1 coffee, 2 coffee. And he said the whole time, I don't like to make cold calls. I don't like to make cold calls. I don't like to make cold calls. And eventually last week we said, look, I don't want you to make cold calls either, but it's more important to me that you get your 3 coffees. That's the most important thing. 3 coffees with qualified agents is a direct line towards your goal and your vision. Okay. So we might need to give up on that rule about cold calls. And for me, that's back to basics. Giving up on the rules is back to basics. Throwing those stances out is back to basics. So we changed his script. And how many cold calls did you make last week, Nate?
30.
Okay. And how many had you made before that?
I mean, before we started, or
yeah,
the
like
weeks
before
previous?
this week, was that a big part of your business, cold calls?
I just never forced myself to do it. So I'd hit 5 to 10. But
Yeah.
when I just set a goal and said, I mean, you said something that resonated, like, look, just, do it just to work on your script. So I just like, look, man, what's the worst that can happen? They're like, yeah, I'm not interested. You get voicemail, whatever, who cares?
How, and 30 cold calls, how many coffees did you get set up from 30 cold calls?
I got 3. I've got a lot more that are very interested. They just were kind of non-committal. So I don't push that issue, but I'm going to follow up with them. I'm confident it's going to turn into more. It's just, look, it's a numbers game at this point, but at the same time, touching on what everybody else said, I think you really just have to, for me, I've had to strip everything down. It's kind of like looking in the mirror, taking all of those preconceived notions you have about what a loan officer should be, act like, talk like, do, and then what am I projecting out there that's keeping me from being my honest, true self? Because once you can strip all those pretenses away and the stances, like you said, and you're laying yourself bare in front of an agent or just listening to them, the response is crazy, because they just want somebody that's genuine. They don't want fake. They don't want some dude in a suit and tie sitting in front of them just telling them what they're going to do. They want to connect on a level that's personal. And then when you do that, it ties back to the rate shopping. Like, I rarely get shopped. And I don't think it's that I have some magic formula. I think it's really that I established that connection with the borrowers up front. I'm asking personal questions. What would getting this house mean to you? What's this going to look like for your family going forward? What's your plans? When you invest in that borrower up front, guess what they're not going to do? Go shop your rate, because they trust that you care. You develop that personal relationship.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love that you drop the stance and you hit your 3 coffees.
I don't know if you guys saw Nate's post. It was a couple weeks ago. He had a client literally go out and make an award, like a trophy, and
Yep.
put his name on it and delivered it to him.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, people love this guy. And what we said with Nate is he's like, if we stick with a sports reference, Nate is extremely athletic, right? And he can hit that ball out of the park when it's pitched across the plate. He's great at it. He just wasn't getting any at bats. He had to get his at bat count up, right? Jeff said it on his back to basics. Like, we got to track numbers again. We didn't have to do that in 20 and 21. You better know every single number you have right now. So Nate's percentage, his batting average is really high. It's just, if you get 1 at bat a week, what good is that, right? 1 single at bat, he needs to be getting 4 and 5 at bats with qualified agents every single week. And that's what we're working on to get him there. And the number one thing he had to do was drop the stance about cold calls. He had to just drop it. The rule should be, if I didn't get enough meetings set up through networking and social media and warm calls, then I will make cold calls. That should be the stance. That should be our new back to basics rule. If I didn't do it the way I want to do it, I'm gonna do it the way I don't want to do it. Right? Anyone? Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're starting to run out of time here, and I want to save time to go over the non-business side of back to basics. Okay, the personal side of back to basics. So we're in a new market, and it's an intense market. You can either look at it as a crappy market, or you could look at it as the most, I don't know, possibly like this market might provide the most opportunity that I've ever seen in 21 years for a market. I don't think there's ever been a time to pick up market share like there is right now. You don't pick up market share when it's easy for loan officers. You pick up market share when it's hard for loan officers and when it's hard for realtors, right? Because that's where only great loan officers will succeed and only great realtors will succeed. When they need us is when we pick up market share, not when they could close a loan with anyone in town. So literally, I've been doing this 21 years. I've never seen the opportunity like this before. I know that in a year or two, it's going to start raining again. And this time around, if you had 5 agents last time, you can have 10 this time. If you had 10 agents last time, you can have 20 this time. If you closed 30 million last time, you can close 100 million this time. So now all of that market share building is going to happen. Like the bulk of it's going to happen between now and March. Okay. So another part of this is keeping your mind right and your health right and your finances right. And that's what I'm talking about with the personal side of things. So what's back to basics right now for y'all personally, like not on the business side, but personally, what's back to basics? Who haven't we heard from for a little while? Go ahead.
I used to always do the bike at least 12 miles every morning. So I just started doing that to get in a better mindset to handle all the challenges we're facing.
And what do you add into your bike ride?
I do an hour, I call it my power hour, where I listen to either Jim Rohn or like Anthony Robbins or something like that while I'm biking.
Yeah, I know Brandon is doing the exact same thing. Brandon, you're in the gym every afternoon and you got a podcast going, right? Every single day.
Yeah, I usually listen to at least a podcast, at least one, maybe not, if not even 3 or 4 a day. And then I'll read a book. About every 2 weeks, I'll read a book.
Yeah. Who else realized in this market that they better freaking get out and exercise and that they better start feeding their mind with positive influences instead of all the negative influences that we're dealt with from the news and from, social media and from the markets and from the pundits and all of that sort of stuff. Who realized that they needed to balance that out with some good stuff also? Zach? Yep. Anybody else? All right. How about this? Who is realizing right now that they need to do that and they better make some changes? Maybe that's a better question. Raise your hand if you're sitting here thinking, man, I should probably start working out and start listening to some good podcasts to feed my soul a little bit. Can we be honest with that? Anybody? Yeah.
Hey, I just had a realtor call me and said that we apparently should start doing some podcasts because there's not enough of them out there.
There's just a great book. It's called, y'all probably heard of it. It's called The Miracle Morning, where you wake up like an hour ahead of what you normally do. And I forgot the acronym. I think it was like SMART or something, but you meditate, you savers. Okay. Thank you. What's the first one? Silence. So you meditate and then you exercise, you read, you journal, that sort of thing. And like you feel like Superman, like especially if your significant other doesn't wake up early, like you'll like crank out 5 miles and read a book and eat breakfast and then they're still sleeping. It's like 7 a.m. and it's a, it's a great way to start your day, especially if we can like get like what Bogdan and I were starting where we were going hiking like once a week. So it's kind of like, it's kind of similar where you start your day and it's like, exercise and business. And then by the time you're, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, you had like a really good morning, you're in a really good state of mind and you can like attack the day.
Yeah, if any of you are starting to deal with the little voices that are saying bad things to you, like the little voice that's just really overly worried about the market, not in a healthy way, but in an unhealthy way, or the little voice that's telling you can't, or you're not good enough, or any of those things, you gotta bring meditation into the fold. That meditation is so helpful for not listening to the little voices. The whole act is to sit there and shut up for 10 minutes and watch the little voices, and then you can start seeing it happen. And during the day, you'll be like, oh, okay, I don't have to listen to that one. That one's BS. That one's BS. So the meditation really helps for that. I also, the podcast, the exercise, like it's more important now than ever to really take care of yourself. What about finances? Have y'all made any changes financially versus 2020 and 21? Spending, budgeting, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we started growing our own food. So that's a joke, but we really did. We did start a garden to start growing our own food, but just cutting expenses, no debt, no credit cards.
Yep.
I wish my wife was on for this part right here about curtailing the spending a little bit, but she's not on here. So, but have you guys, I just want to hop in for a quick second, Josh.
Yeah.
The other thing personally that you can do that will kind of kill a couple of birds with one stone is find somewhere to volunteer. If you can volunteer somewhere, it will expand your social network, depending on where you're volunteering and the reason why you're volunteering. But first of all, you're going to get away from work a little bit. You're going to do something for somebody else with no expectation of getting anything in return. But at the same time, you are expanding your social network. So you have an opportunity to grow your business through your volunteer activities. And if you really think about it, I know a lot of people say they don't have time, but there are 168 hours in every week. 7 times 24 is 168. You had another 48 hours. That's 720 hours in a month. We all can carve out about 2 hours a month to do something for somebody else. And at the same time, it will benefit you health-wise and expand your network.
This is a good time to plug our 2 volunteer events for December, actually. Let's see, Kundif and Zach, hit us. One's coming up.
Yeah, Kundif, you want to go first?
His is first. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're muted.
I can jump in. December 2nd, Clark's Kids should be on your calendar. We have room to invite realtors to this one. Okay, so grab your favorite realtor partner. They probably need to do some giving back as well right now. Law of abundance, right? Law of abundance. There's plenty of prosperity out there for all of us, but it's going to go to who gives the most, not who takes the most, not who sells the most, not who closes the most, who gives the most. So Clark's Kids will be at 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, December 2nd. And then, gosh, I think y'all know what it is, but the Christmas kids go from Walmart, or excuse me, Christmas presents go from Walmart to the warehouse to all the county DFAX programs. Every single kid in the DFAX program gets 3 gifts from their choice: iPads, bicycles. We've been doing this. I think this is our 6th year, guys. This is one of our favorite volunteer events of the whole entire year. So show up for this one, bring a realtor. That's really fun time to spend together, and talk about showing value. Realtors want to give back. They don't know how. So that's going to be valuable for them, just setting them up to give back. They'll feel good afterwards. Zach, what's yours? So hashtag lunch.
Hashtag sack lunch, or what? Hashtag
lunch bag.
Lunch bag. Thank you. Hashtag lunch bag. It is on December 17th, starting at 10 a.m. We essentially just show up and we write kind of just like some, we just love on some, so essentially we're putting together lunch bags, brown paper bags to give out to homeless people around town. So show up, we're just gonna write kind of some love notes, whatever. We are the official sponsor. And I think they said they could take like 100 something people. So yeah, bring your agents as well. Cause yeah,
That's a good one to go on social media for and invite people. We were making sandwiches and there was a DJ bumping house music in the background and it was so much fun. And then we drove around and like they told us exactly which underpass to drive to. And we got out of the truck and all the homeless people came over and thanked us and grabbed sack lunches from us. And they were so nice and they were so helpful and the kids loved it. That was one of the best events we've done so far this year. I mean, I loved it. So that's a big one. We need to start pushing that one hard.
Yeah, it is, especially with us being the main sponsor, Josh. I think that would be huge if we could like pack them out. They're like, whoa, we got 2 many people. So that'd be great.
We'll have our signage down there. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think they're also doing they said they might be doing like a toy component. I told them to let me know because I got a Santa outfit, worst case scenario. So I'll keep you posted once I hear on that.
Hey, what was the day and our kids invited?